my name is Jessica. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So I've been eating and studying mushrooms for years and they transformed my life. So I wanted to make this series of videos to help you and educate you, and hopefully they will transform your life as well. So in this series of videos, we're going to be covering what are mushrooms from their biological aspect, types of mushroom, medicinal versus psychedelic versus gourmet, how to microdose for anxiety, depression, ADHD, how to macrodose, how to eat it in large quantities and have a spiritual experience, hopefully, and the side effects with that. And also I'm gonna be answering some common questions. And then if you guys have any more questions, you can always comment on the video. Please hit subscribe so you can see more of the videos. And today's videos, which is the first video, it's gonna be a little bit boring, but we're gonna start with an overall understanding of what are mushrooms as a living organism. Are mushroom plants? What are mushrooms, right? So here we go. All right, so first things first, a little bit of biology so we can really understand what are mushrooms. Are they plants? What are they, right? Are they magical beings sent by God to make us happy? We don't know. So no, seriously. So all living organisms on Earth can be classified in 5 kingdoms, right? So biology, 5th grade, remember? So the 5 kingdoms are Protista, Monera, Plantae, Animalia, and Fungus. So just as a little refresher, Monera are going to be single cellular things that don't have a nucleus. Those are going to be our bacteria. Then we have the Protista, which they're going to have one or more cells. They have a nucleus. Those are going to be like things like amoebas and algae, boring stuff. And then we have cooler stuff. We have Plantae Kingdom, which are going to be all your plants. Those are going to be sun-powered organisms powered by the sun, and it also have a roots. They're going to be under the plant kingdom, so like things like trees and vegetables and all that. And no, mushrooms are not a plant. They're not from the Plantae Kingdom. And then we have the 4th kingdom, Animalia. That includes us, complex, curious beings, movers and eaters. And in the animal kingdom, we have humans, dogs, all sorts of animals. Then we have other classifications there as well. And then we have, drum roll, my favorite, which we're going to talk about for this series of videos, which is the Fungi Kingdom. Yes, the Fungi Kingdom is a kingdom entirely to funguses. So what are funguses? So funguses can be things like yeast, mold, mushrooms. What is the difference between grape juice and wine? You guessed it. Maybe you didn't guess the yeast. So I'm sure when you see a winery, they get grape juice, they put it in a thing, and then they add yeast that transforms the sugar into alcohol, and then you have wine. So yeast is a really cool thing. Also, women are very familiar with yeast. Have you ever heard of candida? Yes, women can get vaginal yeast infections if yeast grows. But yeast is not the enemy. Yeast is an amazing fungus that can live everywhere, including in our bodies. And yeast, along with bacteria, they compose our microbiome. And if you know anything about health and blah, 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 the gut microbiome is actually the producer for 90% of your serotonin. Serotonin is responsible for mood, sleep, even social behavior and appetite. And 90% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. So good yeast is actually really, really important for us. Mold is also another fungus, and mold, it can grow, in the walls and things like that. But actually mold was the first ever known antibiotic, penicillin. Some scientist was working with bacteria and he left additional bacteria hanging there, and mold grew in it, and that's where penicillin came as the first words antibiotic, mold. So all those are good. And then we have our favorite fungus. We're going to be talking about mushrooms. Mushrooms are a fungus, but mushrooms themselves are not the things we're going to talk about. So to understand mushrooms, we need to understand a more complex creature, mycelium. What's mycelium? Mycelium is like an underground network of like neurons. It's kind of like a web that is under the earth. So in the ground with the roots of the trees, we have mycelium. So it's kind of like a web-like thing. Mycelium is amazing. The largest organism on Earth is mycelium. Is 8,500 years old and it covers 2,000 acres. So mycelium is huge. Mycelium is actually how the trees communicate, how the trees warn each other of dangers, and how the trees, they even share nutrients. So mycelium is underground on Earth, and it's this huge network, this huge fungal network, and there's some real cool research around mycelium. So what is mushrooms is like the penis of the mycelium, because the mycelium is underground, right? It's under the earth. And when mycelium wants to reproduce, it pops a thing to earth, a mushroom, and the mushroom releases its spores. So that's how it's kind of like the mushroom is the penis of the mycelium. And then there's like the semen, which is the spores, and that's how mushroom reproduce. So mushrooms, they have a very short life. They really just come on top of the earth to reproduce, and they die. So yes, mushroom is the fruiting body of the mycelium, right? The fruit of the mycelium. What are truffles? Truffles are also same, but they are under the earth. So they're not the fruiting body, they're just underground. They just concentrate underground, and those are truffles. They're very different than mushrooms, but they also come from the mycelium. So that's it for mushroom biology. So stay tuned, watch my next video on types of mushrooms, medicinal mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms, and so forth. And leave your questions in the comments, please. And don't forget to subscribe if you like this video.